Hi everyone, I'm here today with Kim. Kim, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Margaret. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Kim here is one of my Girls Get Set heroes. She actually started up the Girls Get Set scheme 10 years ago. So Kim, why was it that you set up Girls Get Set?
I mean, hero is a strong word, right? But thank you. So Sophie and I set up Girls Get Set. We kind of saw the gender imbalance that kind of exists in STEM coming through university, and then being two of 80 GE graduates on the intake in 2008, we realised that there was a problem. Um, we were both passionate about our career choice, but we couldn't understand why young people just weren't making the same choices that we were. So
Mhm.
we were really active STEM ambassadors, and we did lots of mixed STEM events. And we kind of wondered what it would be like if we took the boys out. We got loads of feedback. Firstly, it wouldn't work. Then secondly, could it be construed as positive discrimination? But we didn't let that deter us, and we kind of went forward with it. And we did a trial. So we had this first girls only event, and I'll never forget watching this group of 5 girls that sat around the table. They were building something that I don't remember what they were building, but previously, like in the mixed events, the girls had really sat back, whereas now with only girls, they got all stuck in. They lost
Mhm.
all their inhibitions. They were arguing over what component went where within the structure. They were arguing what's the best way to build it. And the moment for me was at the end, they all clapped. Every single one of them clapped and cheered when they'd managed to kind of achieve it. And I think then we realized that we needed to harness this energy and build a
Mhm.
sustainable scheme around it. So, that's kind of the story of how we got to Girls Get Set.
Yeah, amazing. And so obviously it's been 10 years on now from Girls Get Set, and you must have done it for a few years when you started. What's your favorite memory of your scheme, of what you've done with the students?
That's a tough one. I I probably got two that stick out. So the first one's got to be the first Girls' Day.
Mhm.
The Girls' Day is our big finale where all the year kind of comes together. And this first one was like nothing we'd ever done before. It was probably the most challenging and fulfilling day of my life. And we literally put our blood, sweat, and tears into
Mhm.
that organisation. We'd never done anything like it before. 500 girls were coming to the Cheltenham site, which was amazing. Um, and we also, it was kind of monumental because it was the first time we brought all these different things together. So we
Mhm.
had to do this event that catered to the young girls that were there for the day so that we made sure they left having had fun and learnt something. But then also we had to hold the competition for the older girls for the Robot Olympics. So they'd been working hard throughout the year, and they were coming on site to compete. So we had these different requirements from the girls, and we had to satisfy them all. And there were high aspirations as well. So there was a lot on that day, and we had to prove something. In
Mhm.
the end, I mean, the event was fantastic, and it was at that point that we knew this scheme was going to be successful, and we needed to carry it on and on and on. So that's probably the top one. I'd say another memory of mine is something that I'll never forget. So I'm not sure it's my favourite, but it's definitely something that sticks in my mind all the time. Um, we were doing a S1 S2 event in Scotland, so that's the equivalent of year 7 and 8 in England, and we
Mhm.
were doing a gyrobots workshop. And I was talking to some of the girls, and they educated me that they were about to make their choice on what science to pick to study from S3 onwards. And I was shocked. So at age 12, the girls were making a decision about potential career options for them. And the teacher fed back to me that science wasn't really the popular choice out of the 3 sciences. So
Mhm.
what we did on the event was we tried to link the event back to science and try and show that physics was fun. And we tried to teach some of the basics of physics in it as well. And probably the best bit is the fact the teacher called me about a month later, and she said of all the girls that had come on the event, about half of them had picked physics as one of their 2 sciences.
Amazing.
So that was pretty incredible. So that's when we realised we're having an impact on girls' career choices right now.
Yeah.
So that's probably something I'll never forget. So those are probably the two for me, definitely.
Nice. And it's amazing to hear that you're all the way up in Scotland as well, because Cheltenham's pretty far down in England. You managed to reach so far up into a different country.
Definitely, definitely. And I'm in Newcastle now, and the team up at Cramlington are running it as well. So yeah, it's getting everywhere, right? Girls Get Set everywhere.
We're going to take over the world. Yeah. So as you were saying, you changed the perceptions of some of the students there on what subjects they wanted to take. Do you think that obviously it's changed for the better of how different paths you can take getting into STEM, as well as the perceptions into STEM? So what do you think exactly has changed? What difference is it that you've made?
I think so. STEM's more accessible than it ever has been for girls. Definitely, like it's more normal to hear from female engineers or female pilots, and that's down to organisations like GE that are kind of challenging these stereotypical gender roles that exist within society. I think most people will acknowledge that we're not there yet. We've got a way to go. But this change is so massive and it takes time and it takes a generation. So we need the young girls now that have these less rigid perceptions of what career they can and can't go into. We need them to become parents to the next generation, so it becomes a little bit more normal for them, and so on and so on and so on. And that's kind of what I mean when I say it takes a generation. But what I think Girls Get Set has done really great at is it's kind of trying to change the misunderstanding that we have around, or lots of people have around engineering. What is engineering? We're solving a problem. We're coming up with different solutions to solve that problem, and then we're designing a product or a strategy to go ahead and solve that problem. And that's what makes engineering so diverse, unique, and interesting, is because we've got so many problems around society. And I think that's a misconception with engineering, and that's where Girls Get Set kind of helps. I also think that there's another kind of piece around, you've got to be a star pupil to go into STEM. And I hate that. And girls often come up to me and say, I'm not clever enough to be an engineer, when I ask them why they don't want to do it. And I wasn't a star pupil at maths. I had to work hard at it to understand maths. But the beauty of maths is that you kind of work a process and you get to the answer, but the process largely stays the same. You just kind of got to work through it and get to that answer. And that's where maths is truly universal. And I try and kind of talk to some of the girls around that it may not come to you like really easy, but if you work at it and you understand it, you can build on it. And that's where, for me, I don't think you need to be a star pupil. You need to be good at maths and science, obviously. But I don't think you need to be kind of exceptional. You can do it if you work at it as well. And Girls Get Set definitely helps with a bit of that as well, making it more accessible to young girls. Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's a really good message. I remember when I was in school, I was definitely not the best in my school. And now I'm one of 6 Girls Get Set alumni that have started at GE Aviation at our Cheltenham site doing the engineering degree apprenticeship. So your Girls Get Set scheme is definitely working.
And that's the most important thing that's come out of this, right? The 6 of you that have joined us, it's just absolutely incredible that A, you've picked STEM career, B, you've picked GE, and C, I'm going to guess most of you are involved in Girls Get Set and reaching out to the younger generation as well. Like, what a legacy to leave there. So, thank you to you, right, for, joining us. But that's exactly what Sophie and I wanted or dreamt that we could do with something like Girls Get Set.
Amazing. So we've spoken about how great it is that we've got Girls Get Set alumni in the program, in GE, the difference that you've made to so many lives of so many young students. What do you think still needs to change in terms of engineering and STEM careers?
I think unconscious bias has a lot to answer for. I think that it's really important, and I think that I always kind of use this example because it's exactly the problem. So I'm sitting here talking to you now as a kind of diversity inclusion champion, and I remember a few years ago when I told my nephew Brian to put down a Peppa Pig toy because it was too girly. I couldn't believe I'd said it, really. It was only after I said it I realised, and I thought, wow, that was my unconscious bias coming through. And I think we need to kind of understand that it's there in all of us. And in order to kind of change that, we need to recognize it. So firstly, recognize that we all have this unconscious bias and recognize the impact it has on our decision making. Once we do that, I think that we can keep it in check and we can keep challenging it when we are making those decisions and making sure we're making the right ones. And kind of with that, we all have assumptions. They're important. They keep us safe. They help us learn how to approach a certain situation. But what we need to make sure we do is we keep those assumptions valid. So as we change, society changes, as we grow, we make sure that we keep checking those assumptions and that they remain valid for the current situation that we're in. And I think once we acknowledge that unconscious bias and those assumptions that we have and exist, that's only when we're going to, keep making an impact and making a change to get more women, into engineering, into STEM. But, generally the gender imbalance as a whole, right? It all, in my opinion, comes from that unconscious bias and the assumptions we set for ourselves.
Yeah, nice. And that's just not engineers that are already in the workplace. That's with students as well, isn't it? Having that unconscious bias of what engineers are.
Yeah, and I mean, your unconscious bias can come from anything, right? Your upbringing, your parents' opinions, will have an effect on you. But it's all built, and unfortunately, the worst thing is it's unconscious. We don't know about it. So yeah, it's definitely there. So there are things out there, tools out there to help you understand what your unconscious bias is. And I encourage everybody to go and do that, go and learn, where your where your biases lie, and then you're more aware of them when you are making those decisions. Once you understand it, you can learn to control it. Definitely.
Amazing. So going back to Girls Get Set then, obviously this year we're celebrating the 10th anniversary, the 10th year since it's been running. Where do you see Girls Get Set going next? What's your big dream for Girls Get Set over the next 10 years, say?
So firstly, let's recognise the incredible journey so far, right? 10 years, 8,000 girls. There's people joining the celebrations from all around the UK, England, Wales, Scotland, and that's because Girls Get Set ran in all of those different countries as well. So this is a world away from what Sophie and I thought was possible all those 10 years ago. So it's fantastic what we've done already. For me, kind of going forward, I'd love to see Girls Get Set outside the UK. I think there's lots of countries that have similar challenges to what we do. And I'd like to see how the scheme can be adapted to fit their different education systems. So that's kind of one piece, I think. Another would be, more schools, more girls. Obviously, I want the scheme to have a bigger impact. I want it to change more people, have a positive impact on people's lives. But also with that, I want everyone to stay connected. So, we've got 8,000 girls out there with this one thing in common, and that's Girls Get Set. How do we connect them all? So we create this massive support network of not only the girls, but also volunteers. So that, Margaret, you're a Girls Get Set alumni, right? How do we make sure that you get all the support you need, or girls like you get all the support that they need to follow in your footsteps and come into a STEM career? And that's what I think we need to do more of in Girls Get Set, like that connecting between all of the girls, definitely. And probably the final piece for me was, getting young people into STEM is tough. Getting girls into STEM, a little bit tougher. Getting disadvantaged girls into STEM, way tougher. So I think that I'd like to see more, scholarships and further education support for girls that are part of the scheme, as a recognition of what they do as part of it, because some of the impact that the girls have is incredible, and what they achieve is absolutely incredible. And I want us to be able to award that more through the scheme. And on that train as well, make Girls Get Set worth something on their uni applications or on their CVs. So I know we're doing a lot of that with industrial cadets and the accreditation. Do more of that, so the girls leave the scheme having achieved Girls Get Set, and they know, you know, that means something to an employer or a uni when they're going to apply for it as well.
Yeah.
That's probably kind of in a nutshell, a couple of the big things I'd love. So it's been great work so far, Margaret, but
yeah, there's still a long way to go. Yeah. Hey, but now we've got all of those down, we know where we want to go. Those are some really great suggestions that I think we could definitely achieve. Maybe not in the next 10 years, maybe a bit further than that, but yeah.
Well, I look forward to talking to you in 10 years and discussing all the achievements since then, right? But hey, just before we go, Margaret, I want to take a couple of minutes just to say thank you. So, you know, we've talked about the achievements so far over the 10 years, and it's pretty fantastic, you know, what we've done. And I want to shout out to all the volunteers, the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that have been involved in Girls Get Set in the past 10 years, from, you know, volunteering for the event, to being a mentor and supporting the girls throughout the year, to being part of the initial team that helped us create the logo and come up with the structure and what the projects look like. Like, without you, this wouldn't have happened, and we wouldn't be here 10 years later having had the impact that we have. So I want to say thank you to all of those volunteers, and I also want to say thank you to the girls. So you know, we've got girls on the scheme right now, we've got girls that are alumni, we've got you, Margaret, and I want to say thank you to you all, because we put together this scheme and you guys taught us what went well, what didn't. We learned from it, we adapted it, and you helped us mold it into something for the future girls to come on and enjoy as well. So, you know, I reach out to all the girls that have gone into a STEM career option and kind of cheer with you, because that's exactly what we wanted to do. But also to the girls that maybe haven't gone into a STEM career, that's fine, because their eyes have been opened up to that option, and then that means they can talk to younger people, and you know, it's an option for them, so that they can share it as an option for younger people as well. So, you know, thank you to the volunteers, and thank you to the girls. You've made the last 10 years fantastic and great fun.
Yeah, thanks. And of course, thanks again to you, Kim, for, you know, setting up the scheme, being so passionate about it, still being here 10 years on, supporting the scheme and everything that we do in it. It's because of you that I'm here, definitely, and I'm sure it's the same with a lot of other students getting to where they are now. It's because you started the Girls Get Set scheme, because you saw the gender imbalance and you thought you could make a change, and a change you have made. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and hey, it's been a blast. Sophie and I have enjoyed every minute of it, definitely.
Cheers. Thanks everyone for watching. We hope you get more involved with our Girls Get Set birthday celebration week. We'll be around with lots more videos and content for you to see as well. So thanks for watching.